And we have other reporters all over this story. Ronald Masinda, of course, also in Durban, another part of Durban. He joins us now live. So, Ronald, just set the scene for us. Where are you? What's happening?
Sean, good evening. We are at an area called Mbilo. We are at a mall where the looting spree continues, Shahan, as my colleague Sandile will show you. People have been looting here since we arrived here about 35 minutes ago. We've even seen a number of people even walking away with fridges, some walking away with ovens. People saying that they are tired of the hunger that the government has put them in. They say that, these lockdowns have been such a issue for them that many of them are without jobs, and the unemployment is just so dire that many people have resorted to stealing. We've seen very little presence of police here. We do know that they are scattered all over KZN, where quite a number of other areas have been looted. But Sean, for just more on what is going on currently, I am joined by one of the residents here. Sizwe, thank you so much for your time. First of all, are you part of what is happening there, and why?
In a way, I am part of it. There's no way I can be part of it. I'm getting affected by this. What I can tell you, it's hell in mayhem. I would have wished that things could have been settled in a more Christianized way, given where it started in terms of politics. But obviously, that's taking a bit long. I think the politicians, the president, and the rest of the cabinet, they're still applying their mind to this. I don't think they anticipated something like this, But as the residents, we are overwhelmed by the current situation. I won't lie to you.
So you can confirm to us this, you are not part of the people calling for former President Jacob Zuma to be released?
I am a pro-supporter of Jacob Zuma. My family, we had a farm in Dundee, and in 1968 we were one of the families that were relocated to less fertile places during when the Land Act was invoked. But that day is sorted. Speaking from my family's perspective, I'm not too concerned by that, but I can say I am affected since I'm here. I have some insecurities in place. If you want me to, I can go into details what I'm insecure about. But I do have insecurities. I understand what the people are complaining about, and I understand why people will rally behind Zuma. He did a lot for the country. My man, if I can take you home, we have like some sort of a game reserve, and we never had that shit. We used to pass there every day going to Newcastle, and my father was telling me this used to be home, like it was a dream.
I'm just gonna ask you to just watch your language, because this is a family show. But what I do want to know from you is that don't you have any remorse for the people who are losing out, people who run?
The owners, of course I do. Of course I do. Some of the people that are here, I used to work with them. I know them personally. Most of the owners of retail stores, I know them personally, and I feel remorse for them. Some of them I've even phoned them and expressed my disappointment in everything that's happening. But it is what it is. It is what it is.
And just lastly, Caesar, before I let you go, where to from now?
Where to from now? I think, as far as I know, the government did say that they're gonna dispatch the military. I'm not sure if that's a good move. I feel like the police have been in the area, but they haven't been strategically located. There were like 10 vans here. They could have put maybe 5 here. They were like 15. They could have maybe put 3 here, 3 there, 3 there, 3 there. And they could have done well to neutralize the situation. But obviously over time, like they did try to hold things up for like 2 hours, but obviously, they got fatigued.
Very lastly, will you defy the military?
No.
If they're here?
No, I won't. I'm a law-abiding citizen, by the way. I honestly believe in the rule of the law, and I have many of my family members who are within the judiciary systems, and I'll never do anything to undermine the law. But at the end of the day, I feel like the law has to have some sort of leniency. When it comes to, we know what started this thing. I feel like the law has to have some sort of leniency and engage the atmosphere of people before they make decisions. Whatever decisions they make, they have to take certain things or other aspects into consideration.
All right, thank you very much for your time. Indeed, well, Shahan, that is the situation on the ground. We are seeing quite a few security that usually works here at this mall, but they're also saying that they fear for their own lives should they try and stop the people from looting. It's back to you.
Ronald, just show us those visuals again of the looting that's unfolding, and let's just take a look more at why these people or what these people are stealing. According to the gentleman you spoke to, he says ultimately people have been affected by the lockdown, they've lost their jobs, etc., and this is why they're resorting to all of this. And no sign of security or police at all there, hey?
Not at all, Shahan, and people are just taking whatever they can get their hands on, and we're going to probably try and just ask my colleague Sandile to perhaps just walk across slightly to the other section of the mall where many people on the other side have their vehicles parked. That is where they've been loading quite a number of the things that they stole from this mall. We are seeing a pizza eatery that has been completely destroyed. We saw quite a number of ovens stolen there as well, and people are just helping themselves with no security or police in sight to apprehend them. And it's been a situation that has been ongoing, as Caesar also told us earlier, for a couple of hours, and there's no knowing whether or not we will see any police. We do know that the police are scattered everywhere at the mall that we were earlier, that we visited. There were quite a few police, but not a lot of them, and a lot of those, quite a number of those police, they were firing rubber bullets at a number of the people who were looting. But as we can see here, trolleys, people leaving with whatever they can get their hands on. We've seen quite a number of them also getting their hands on liquor. We cannot verify at this stage if whether or not the liquor was stolen here, but we saw quite a number of them drinking alcohol and carrying alcohol after they left this mall. So this mall is in a complete state of chaos. Many people are still making their way here to this mall, Shahan, but what you can see here is things are just continuing without any, police presence, security, trying to block people from continuing what they are doing at the moment.
Do you know what's so shocking about all of this? People are casually walking into that mall, into that shop in particular, with trolleys and baskets, like they're going to actually buy the goods, but that's not the case. So we know that police have had their hands full because it's happening in so many areas at the same time, Ronald. Just from our coverage throughout the day, the SANDF has been deployed, but only as support staff ultimately. They can't go into these areas themselves. Have you seen any police anywhere close by, or is it almost impossible for them to cover this city in particular, given how widespread the looting is?
Well, Shahan, we don't know at this stage if whether or not the police are short-staffed or why we have seen quite a few of them. But when I arrived in Durban today, actually, the roads were completely empty. It felt like it was back to level 5 of the lockdown. And it was only until we reached the first mall that we went to, where we saw quite a number of Metro Police and a few police present trying, being at a stalemate against those who were looting at that particular mall that we visited. And there were quite a number of destruction of property, people burning, municipal property. But what we've seen here is just people just helping themselves. We're seeing many people still running in the mall, some of them walking into quite a number of restaurants. We are seeing a lady carrying what appears to be a basket of food, and also what is also worrying, Sean, we're also seeing young kids, young teenagers as young as 12 years old, as you can see in the background. Quite a number of young kids also are part of this. So there's absolutely no words to describe actually the visuals that we are bringing the viewers at the moment. It is just an absolute state of chaos.
Yeah, Ronald, we're going to stay live on your visuals, and just as a reminder to those who are watching and to those who are joining us, you're watching live visuals at the Queensmead Mall in Durban. People are currently currently looting a particular shop that looks like it's a spa from what I see. Ronald spoke to someone just a short while ago who says that they're tired of hunger. The lockdown has left them unemployed. It seems to have started off with people going to the streets supporting Jacob Zuma, who is in prison currently, but it's now turned somewhat. The story has changed to people now saying we can't afford another lockdown and we are losing our jobs, we can't provide food for our families. Of course, stealing and criminality is no excuse for what is happening in the country in terms of the lockdown. The president and officials will argue against this. We're wondering where the police minister is. We are yet to hear from Police Minister Bheki Cele about the deployment of his police force. We are hardly seeing police officers intervene in some of these instances, especially when it comes to looting, as you're seeing now live on your screen. We know that the president is going to address the nation at 8:30 p.m., which we will take live. We're hoping to hear more about the deployment of the SAPS from the president, because the police minister certainly hasn't said much. The SANDF has been deployed to KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng, but they are ultimately just support staff to them. They are not going to these areas alone to arrest people. They will have to wait for police to move in first and then go in with them. So this is the state of our nation right now. Looting, chaos, destruction of property, live on your television sets. The people who are looting are not afraid to be live on camera. We even tried speaking to them earlier on in the day. They smile. There's a smug look on their faces. Some of them are desperate because they want to get food for their children. Others are stealing televisions, fridges, washing machines. It goes as far as that. But it's about 9 minutes or so before we hear from President Cyril Ramaphosa, and this is what's happening. It seems that the SANDF has not deterred people in any way from actually continuing with the destruction as well as the criminality overall. And, that's the sad thing. Whether or not these people will take law enforcement seriously remains to be seen. And we spoke to Des Ntathia a bit earlier. He was in Yellowwood Park speaking to community members there who have set up their own roadblock because they want to screen people who are coming into the area. And, the thing is that the community can only do so much to protect themselves, but there has been some sort of retaliation that has ended up being lethal. And that also cannot be condoned in a situation like this. These visuals you're watching right now, there are children here. There are parents who are bringing their kids with them to loot. And the example that sets to this generation is something that is quite concerning. And they're doing it so freely. It's so sad to see. There is desperation in this country. Clearly, there's desperation. People are hungry. People have lost their jobs because of this pandemic, and people want food. But is this the way to go? Can it be justified, the things we're seeing? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. And I really think that we need to hear from the president about the way forward in South Africa. Ronald, I'm going to bring you back in as we build up to the president's address at 8:30 p.m. And we want to stay live on these visuals for anyone who's joining us right now so that they witness the realities. We've seen communities also being attacked, Ronald. Houses where people have gone into and robbed them there. And it's just something that we haven't seen in years in this country, and it's quite shocking, to say the least.
It is indeed, Shahan, and what has also been shocking is hearing reports of business owners actually retaliating, saying that they cannot afford to lose their businesses in such a manner. Many of these businesses have, of course, been without, the correct financial, the monies that they've been wanting, given the extent of the lockdown. Some of them have been closed. Some of them are actually cutting close right now. And many of the people, as you can see during these live individuals are stealing from businesses that are actually closed at the moment, Shahan, which is really sad. And this has been seen throughout KZN. We are also hearing of tensions in other areas such as Phoenix, where business owners there have attacked people who they have identified as alleged looters. We are seeing a lady falling there in the background. We are also seeing, Shahan, a few what appears to be shots. We're not sure at this stage if whether or not those are rubber bullets or what, but we're also seeing people stealing chairs to our far left. So it's just people are taking whatever they can see in front of them, and without any worry or concern, Shahan, of whether or not they will be caught in the act. We do know that several people have been arrested during these protests, but many people say that they will continue until government addresses the issue of inequality, the issue of unemployment, and the issue of poverty in the country.
Yeah, definitely the case. Ronald Masinda is following the story for us. We're live at in the Queensmead Mall in Durban, and I'll just read you a statement from the President ahead of his address. And of course, it's now been moved from 8 o'clock to 8:30. The address will follow the announcement, of course, by the South African National Defence Force that it has commenced with pre-deployment processes and procedures in line with a request for assistance received from the National Joint Operational and Intelligence Structure. The request entails SANDF support for police operations in parts of KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng.